Michael. Hartwell stood in the doorway of his master bedroom at 11:30 on a Thursday night, staring at a scene he'd witnessed far too many times. His 6-year-old daughter, Lily, lay curled in his bed, fast asleep while the woman sleeping beside. Her arm protectively wrapped around the child was decidedly not his wife. She was the maid. Michael was 38 years old, with dark hair, a neatly trimmed beard, and the kind of sharp features that made him look perpetually intense. Tonight he wore a navy blue suit with a crisp white shirt, the jacket still on, despite the late hour because he'd come straight from yet another business dinner. As CEO of Hartwell Industries, a commercial real estate development company, his days regularly stretched into 12- and 14-hour marathons. The woman in his bed in his wife's place, a voice in his head noted uncomfortably, was Catherine Walsh, the housekeeper he'd hired 6 months ago. She appeared to be in her late 20s, with auburn hair spread across his pillow, and she wore a dark blue work dress that was somehow both modest and elegant. She looked exhausted even in sleep, with faint shadows under her eyes and what appeared to be dirt or grime on her arms. "What is she doing in my bed?" Michael said aloud, his voice sharper than he intended. Catherine's eyes flew open immediately, and she bolted upright with the instant alertness of someone used to being on call at all hours. "Mr. Hartwell," she said, her voice hoarse. "I'm so sorry. I didn't mean to. I was just—" She looked down at Lily, still sleeping peacefully beside her, and her expression softened. She couldn't sleep again. Michael felt his jaw tighten. "And the solution was to sleep in my bed?" "No, sir. I mean, not intentionally." Catherine carefully extracted herself from the bed, moving slowly so as not to wake Lily. "She came to find me around 9 o'clock. She was crying, saying she'd had another nightmare. Your daughter Emma was already asleep. She's in her room, but—" Lily couldn't settle down. "I tried everything. I read her stories in her room. We did the breathing exercises the therapist suggested. I made her warm milk. Nothing worked. She said she wanted to sleep. In your bed, because it smelled like you, and made her feel safe." Michael felt a pang of guilt, but pushed it aside. "You could have called me—" "You were in a meeting, sir. You'd left instructions not to be disturbed except for emergencies." "My daughter's emotional distress is an emergency," Michael said, but even he could hear how hollow it sounded. He'd been having dinner with potential investors from Singapore, a deal that could net the company $40 million. He'd silenced his phone specifically to avoid interruptions. Catherine met his eyes with a directness that surprised him. "Is it, Mr. Hartwell? Because this has been happening 3 or 4 times a week for the past month, and I haven't seen you adjust your schedule once." The words hung in the air between them, a challenge that no employee had ever dared voice before. Michael felt anger flash through him. How dare she judge his parenting? But beneath it was something worse. Shame because she was right. "That's not your concern," he said coldly. "You're right. It's not." Catherine smoothed down her dress, which had wrinkled from sleep. "My concern is those 2 little girls who need their father and hardly ever see him. My concern is Lily, who has nightmares every night about her mother leaving and not coming back. My concern is Emma, who's started acting out at school because she thinks if she's bad enough. You'll have to pay attention to her. I pay attention to my daughters," Michael said. But even to his own ears it sounded defensive. "When exactly?" Catherine asked, and her tone wasn't accusatory. It was genuinely curious, which somehow made it worse. "You leave before they wake up. You come home after they're in bed. On weekends, you're in your study working. The last time you sat down for a meal with them was—" She paused, thinking. 2 weeks ago. "Sunday brunch. And you spent most of it on your phone." Michael opened his mouth to argue, but couldn't. Every word she said was true. His marriage to Victoria had ended 8 months ago when his wife announced she was leaving him for her personal trainer, a cliché so absurd, Michael had almost laughed when she'd told him. Almost. Except there was nothing funny about watching your wife walk out the door, leaving behind 2 confused little girls who didn't understand why. Mommy didn't want to live with them anymore. Victoria had moved to Los Angeles to find herself, sending a check each month for child support, but rarely calling, never visiting. The divorce had been finalized 3 months ago, and Michael had thrown himself even deeper into work. telling himself he was building a secure future for his daughters. But the truth, which he'd been avoiding, was that he was hiding. Working was easier than facing his children's pain, easier than acknowledging his own failure. "I don't need parenting advice from the maid," Michael said, and regretted the words immediately when he saw Catherine flinch. "You're right," she said quietly. "I apologize for overstepping. But Mr. Hartwell, when Lily asked if she could sleep in your bed, I said yes because it was the only thing that calmed her down. She fell asleep almost immediately. I was going to go back to my room once I was sure she was settled. But she gestured helplessly. "I fell asleep too. I've been working 16-hour days trying to keep this house running. And your daughter's cared for. And I was exhausted." "It won't happen again." Michael looked at her properly for the first time since he'd entered the room. Really looked. He saw the exhaustion in her eyes, the way she swayed slightly as if her legs weren't quite steady. He noticed her arms and realized the dark marks he'd seen weren't dirt, they were bruises. The kind you got from constantly carrying children, moving furniture, doing endless physical labor. She looked like a woman at the end of her rope. Just like his daughters. Just like, he admitted to himself, him. "When's the last time you had a day off?" he found himself asking. Catherine blinked, surprised by the question. I don't know. "A few months?" "A few months," Michael repeated. "Catherine, you're supposed to have Sundays off. That's in your contract." "The girls need someone on Sundays too," Catherine said simply. "And since you're usually working, I didn't think it made sense to—" "Take Sunday off," Michael said abruptly. "This Sunday. I'll arrange for alternate child care. With respect, sir, Lily and Emma don't respond well to strangers. After their mother left—" "Then I'll be here," Michael heard himself say. Catherine stared at him. "Sir? I'll be here this Sunday. I'll take care of my daughters." The words felt foreign in his mouth, like a language he used to speak but had forgotten. "Mr. Hartwell, you don't have to do this just because I overstepped." "You didn't overstep," Michael said, surprising himself with the admission. "You told me the truth. That's rare and valuable, even when it's uncomfortable to hear." He looked down at Lily, sleeping peacefully in his bed. "I've been avoiding being a father because I didn't want to face that. I couldn't keep their mother from leaving. But that's not fair to them. And it's not fair to you to carry the burden alone." Catherine looked like she wanted to say something, but hesitated. "What?" Michael prompted. "It's just, they miss you so much. Lily talks about you constantly. Emma writes you notes that she never gives you, because she's convinced you don't have time to read them. They need you, Mr. Hartwell. Not your money or this beautiful house or the expensive toys. They need their father." Michael felt something crack in his chest. "Where are these notes?" "Emma's notes?" "In her desk drawer, top left. There are probably 50 of them by now." Michael walked out of the bedroom and down the hall to Emma's room. His 8-year-old daughter was asleep. Her dark hair spread across her pillow like her mother's used to be. He approached her desk quietly and opened the drawer Catherine had indicated. Inside was a stack of papers, drawings, and notes in Emma's careful handwriting. Michael sat down on Emma's bed and began reading by the light of her nightlight. "Dear Daddy, today we learned about space in school. I wanted to tell you about it, but you were already gone when I woke up. Did you know Saturn's rings are made of ice? I think that's cool. Love, Emma. Dear Daddy, I got an A on my math test. Miss Walsh said I should be proud. Are you proud of me? Love, Emma." Dear Daddy, Lily had a nightmare again. Miss Walsh stayed with her. I wish you were here to stay with her instead. She asked for you. Love, Emma. Dear Daddy, why don't you eat dinner with us anymore? Did we do something wrong? Love, Emma. Michael felt tears burning behind his eyes. How had he let it get this bad? How had he been so focused on work that he'd missed his daughter's pain? He returned to his bedroom, where Catherine was still standing, looking uncomfortable. "I'll move Lily to her own bed," she started to say. "Leave her," Michael said. "She wanted to sleep here, so let her sleep here. I'll take the guest room tonight." "Mr. Hartwell. And Catherine? Thank you. For being there for them when I wasn't. For loving them when I was too coward to face them." He met her eyes. "I'm going to do better. Starting now." The next morning, Michael did something he hadn't done in months. He woke up early and made breakfast for his daughters. The eggs were slightly burned and the pancakes were lopsided. But when Emma and Lily came downstairs and saw him standing at the stove, their faces lit up with such joy that Michael felt his chest tighten. "Daddy!" Lily shrieked, running to him. "You're home!" "I'm home, sweetheart," Michael said, scooping her up. "And I'm going to be home a lot more from now on." Emma hung back, more cautious. "You said that before," she said quietly. Michael set Lily down and knelt in front of Emma. "You're right." "I did, and I broke that promise." "I'm sorry, Em. I'm so sorry. I was scared after Mommy left, and I handled it badly. I threw myself into work because I didn't know how to help you and Lily with your feelings when I couldn't even handle my own." "We were sad, too," Emma said, her voice breaking. "But you weren't here." "I know, and I'm sorry. But I'm here now, and I'm not going anywhere. I read your notes last night. All of them." Emma's eyes widened. "You did?" "I did, and I'm so proud of you. You're smart and kind and so much braver than I've been. I should have been here to hear about Saturn's rings. I should have been here when Lily had nightmares. I should have been here for dinner. I'm going to be here from now on, I promise. But you're always busy with work," Lily said, tugging on his sleeve. "Not anymore. Work is important, but you two are more important. Nothing is more important than you two." He looked up and saw Catherine standing in the doorway watching. Miss Walsh helped me understand that. Over the following weeks, Michael restructured his entire life. He promoted his COO to handle more day-to-day operations. He set firm boundaries. No work after 6 p.m., no work on Sundays, no missing dinner with his daughters except in genuine emergencies. He attended Emma's soccer games and Lily's dance recitals. He helped with homework and read bedtime stories and learned to braid hair with YouTube, tutorials that made his daughters giggle. And slowly, gradually, his daughters began to trust that he would stay. The nightmares didn't stop immediately, but they became less frequent. Emma started giving him her notes directly instead of hiding them in her drawer. Lily began sleeping in her own bed more often, though she still sometimes crawled into his room on difficult nights. Catherine remained professional and efficient, but Michael noticed she seemed lighter somehow. She smiled more. She took Sundays off as he'd insisted, though she always left detailed notes about the girls' schedules and needs. And on the days when Michael worked from home, he found himself looking for excuses to wander into whatever room she was working in, ostensibly to ask about household matters, but really because he enjoyed her company. It was Emma who eventually forced his hand 3 months after that night. "Daddy," she said one evening after dinner, "are you going to marry Miss Walsh?" Michael nearly choked on his coffee. "What? Why would you ask that?" "Because you look at her the way Prince Charming looks at Cinderella in my book," Emma said matter-of-factly. "And she's nice and she loves us and she makes you smile. Plus, she's pretty. Lily and I decided we want her to be our new mom." "You can't just decide someone is going to be your mom," Michael said, but his heart was racing. "Why not?" Lily asked. "Our old mom didn't want to be our mom anymore. Miss Walsh is already basically our mom. She takes care of us and reads to us and kisses our boo-boos. She just doesn't live here all the time." "It's more complicated than that," Michael said weakly. "Because you're scared," Emma said, displaying wisdom far beyond her 8 years. "You're scared she'll leave like Mommy did." Michael looked at his daughters and realized they were right. He had feelings for Catherine, had been developing them for months. He valued her opinion, sought her company, trusted her judgment. But yes, he was terrified. Terrified of risking his heart again. Terrified of his daughters getting attached, only to lose another maternal figure. "What if I did have feelings for Miss Walsh?" Michael asked carefully. "How would you two feel about that?" "Happy," Lily said immediately. "We love Miss Walsh. She's the best." "I'd feel good about it," Emma said more seriously. "Because Miss Walsh wouldn't leave. She's not like Mommy. She stays even when things are hard. Remember when I had the flu and threw up everywhere? Miss Walsh cleaned it up and held my hair and never looked disgusted. Mommy used to make you do that stuff," Michael remembered. Victoria had always been squeamish about the messier aspects of parenting. "And Miss Walsh cries sometimes," Lily added, "when she thinks we don't see. But she stays anyway. That's what real moms do." Michael felt his throat tighten. "When have you seen Miss Walsh cry?" "Sometimes when we talk about Mommy," Emma said. "She cries because she's sad for us," Real crying, not fake crying like when Mommy used to cry to get what she wanted. Michael had no idea his daughters were so perceptive, had seen so much. That Sunday, his day with the girls, Catherine's day off, Michael made a decision. He asked his neighbor to watch Emma and Lily for a few hours, then drove to the address Catherine had listed on her employment application. She lived in a modest apartment complex on the edge of town. When she opened the door, wearing jeans and a simple sweater, her hair down instead of pulled back, she looked surprised. "Mr. Hartwell? Is everything okay? Are the girls—" "The girls are fine," Michael said. "They're with my neighbor. Can I come in?" Catherine stepped aside, looking confused. Her apartment was small but immaculately kept, with second-hand furniture and walls lined with books. Michael noticed a framed photo on the side table. Catherine with an older couple and a young boy. "My parents and my brother," Catherine said, following his gaze. "My brother has special needs. He lives in a care facility about an hour from here. That's where I go on Sundays to visit him. My parents passed away 3 years ago." "I'm sorry," Michael said and meant it. "Thank you." Catherine folded her arms, defensive. "Mr. Hartwell, why are you here?" Michael took a breath. "Because my daughters asked me if I was going to marry you, and I realized I didn't know how to answer because I don't actually know anything about you beyond the fact that you're the best thing that's happened to my family in years." Catherine stared at him. What?" "You're right that I haven't been present for my daughters. But you've been there. You've loved them and cared for them and somehow kept them together when I was falling apart. You've been honest with me when no one else would. You've made my house feel like a home again." He stepped closer. "And I've fallen in love with you, probably a little bit every day for the past 3 months. Maybe longer." "Mr. Hartwell." "Michael. Please call me Michael." "Michael," Catherine said, and his name sounded different in her mouth, intimate. "You're my employer. This isn't appropriate, and I won't be someone you turn to just because I'm convenient, because I'm already there." "You're not convenient," Michael said. "You're essential. There's a difference. And yes, I'm your employer, which complicates things. If this makes you uncomfortable, I'll never mention it again and nothing will change. But Catherine, I need you to know, you're not the maid who happened to be around. You're the woman who saw my family at its worst and chose to love us anyway. The woman who told me hard truths I needed to hear. The woman who makes me want to be a better father and a better man." Catherine's eyes filled with tears. "I can't be a replacement for your wife." "I don't want you to be," Michael said. "Victoria was never the mother my daughters needed, and she certainly wasn't the partner I needed. But you've shown me what real love looks like. Showing up every day, even when it's hard. Being honest, even when it's uncomfortable. Choosing people over convenience." "I do love them," Catherine whispered. "Emma and Lily, I love them so much. And I love—" She stopped. "Say it," Michael encouraged gently. "I love you too," Catherine admitted. "But Michael, I'm terrified. I'm the maid. People will say terrible things. They'll say I manipulated you, that I seduced you for your money." "Let them talk," Michael said. "I know the truth. My daughters know the truth. That's all that matters." Catherine searched his face. "What are you asking me?" "I'm asking if you'd be willing to see where this goes. To have dinner with me, not as my employee, but as someone I care about. To let me get to know you the way you've gotten to know my family. And eventually, if this works the way I think it will, to consider building a life together. You, me, Emma, and Lily." "That's a lot," Catherine said, but she was smiling through her tears. "Too much?" Michael asked. "No," Catherine said. "It's everything I wanted, but was too scared to hope for." Michael pulled her close, and Catherine came willingly, resting her head against his chest. They stood like that for a long moment, just holding each other. "Your daughters are going to be insufferable when they find out they were right," Catherine finally said. Michael laughed. "They absolutely are. Emma already informed me she knew. I had feelings for you because I look at you the way Prince Charming looks at Cinderella." "Your daughter has excellent observational skills," Catherine said. "She gets it from you," Michael said. "You've taught both of them to actually see people, to pay attention. That's a gift." They took it slowly, carefully, both of them conscious of Emma and Lily's feelings and needs. Catherine moved out of the house and into a better apartment. that Michael helped her afford. Establishing clear boundaries between her personal and professional life. They dated properly, dinners out, movies, long walks where they talked about everything and nothing. Emma and Lily were delighted, though Michael and Catherine were careful not to change too much too fast. Catherine still,